What is up, everyone? Today we are working on the spirit of assertiveness. And here's a concept sketch. What I was thinking about is how being assertive requires you to know yourself. So you basically have to be in contract with yourself about your standards and your boundaries, what you expect from other people. And that's where assertiveness comes from. It's like the stemming point. So I wanted this spirit to be writing a contract with itself. So you have this scroll, this feather, this beautiful feather that the character is basically writing down the rules for itself, essentially. And I also wanted this like shoulder movement that it's the arm that's on the opposite side that's riding it, so it's kind of like covering, being a little bit more aggressive. It's kind of like an aggressive posture, a little protective a bit. And that's kind of where the concept comes from. For the colors, I wanted to do something that's golden yellow with purple and blue. I think I want the background to be like a Payne's gray, because I love Payne's gray, so having the background done like that would be great. And then I want the main vibrant color to be a golden yellow, very strong yellow, and like kind of orangish. And that's what I'm thinking for the color. So looking at day 1 and 2, it was quite productive. It felt very productive because this concept is very simple. The painting is not very complicated. There aren't a lot of elements. I was able to move very quickly, and I'm also getting way more comfortable with painting. And I feel really excited about where the project is headed. I've had this realization where I can basically pull inspiration from anywhere. Like I think I've been too caught up in looking at other artists and looking at art from history to see like what works, what doesn't work, instead of just looking at things that are a little bit more exciting for me naturally, like fashion and looking at photography, nature and stuff like that. I think I should be pulling inspiration from those places instead. I know this might sound obvious that you can pull inspiration from anywhere. I think that's something that everyone understands logically, but I didn't really consider it in my process. Now I'm starting to look more and more at fashion, and I'm thinking that for the next chapter of this project. So for these paintings, the spare paintings, that I do about 9 to 12 paintings for each chapter, and this is the first chapter that we're working on. This is the 11th painting in this chapter. I think I'm going to end the chapter here with this painting. It's going to be the last one, and for the next chapter I'm going to be doing something that's a little bit more fashion illustration based, because I wanted to be a fashion illustrator before, but I couldn't figure out a way of working that worked for me, so I kind of gave up on that dream. But now I'm thinking that wait, I can just combine these spirit paintings, these concepts, with something that is a little bit more fashion inspired. So this character, it's a lot of it's like patterns on clothing basically, and I realized that that's very much from wanting to do something that was fashion illustration based. So I'm definitely going to try that for the next chapter. So this is the last one for this chapter, and the next chapter I'm going to start doing faces and stuff. So I've been practicing faces, I've been drawing faces here and there, so I'm going to try to do that again. I kind of quit doing faces because I wanted to get more loose. Faces felt like not as fun. Like I think I put too much pressure on myself to draw more realistic looking faces, when what comes out naturally for me is more cartoony faces, more simplified faces. And I think I need to lean into what comes out naturally, and that's what I'm going to be doing for the next chapter. For this painting, I'm going super minimal. I'm just having basically the character and then a very simple background, just some shapes, just some guiding lines. Essentially, I want the background to look as minimal as possible while still having some movement in it. So I'm gonna have these lines that are curving around the background, and I think I'm going to do this moving forwards because this looks good and it's a lot easier. That's the thing, is that the funny thing is that putting more effort isn't always paying out the way I expect it to. Like you assume that the more effort you put into something, the better it's going to look, but it's not always true. Sometimes going simple and doing what's easier is actually what turns out better. And this painting, looking at it today, I like where it's headed. Obviously I don't know how it's going to look until it's finished, but looking at it so far, it looks really good with a simple background. I think it's something I'm going to be doing moving forward, especially because it makes it more fun for me. I like being able to finish a painting fairly quickly. I'm not the type of painter that likes to sit down and do a 50-hour painting. That's just not for me. I like moving on to the next idea. It's a big reason why I like drawing so much. Like the reason why I used to do ink drawings is because I like the feeling of I can sit down for 3-4 hours and I can see the amount of progress I've made. It's like being able to finish half a painting in only like 10 hours is good, right? Like this painting, it moved really quickly. Like I think I only worked on it for 6-7 hours over the 2 days because I wasn't working that many hours, and I made a lot of progress. And I want that to be true in the future as well. I want to be able to finish 2 paintings per week without killing myself. Like I don't want to be in a place where paintings take forever, because I don't think think that just because you spend tons of time rendering something that it's more interesting. And for me, the process of it has to be satisfying. So for me to enjoy the process, I have to be able to make progress pretty quickly. Obviously that might change in the future. I might want to do bigger paintings and more detailed paintings in the future, but right now, as things are right now, I want the project to grow quickly. So I need to make sure that I find a process that works for me where I can move quickly through each painting. I was able to finish most of the painting on day 1 and 2. So tomorrow I just have to do a little bit more on the background, darken the background a little bit, do a little bit more details, a lot of highlights I have to do. There isn't that, like, most of the structural elements are already down, most of the colors are already down. I just need to do a few more washes here and there and do a little bit more detailing. And it's almost done today already, so it feels amazing. I feel really good about this painting. I've been struggling with sleep routine, like I've mentioned in the past few videos. It's like I'm trying to move back to being a morning person. I have this history of swinging between being a morning person and being an evening person. Like I swing back and forth depending on the season or depending on the year, whatever's happening. There are some times where I'll wake up at like 6, 7, which I consider that early. But to me, that's pretty early. There's been periods of time in my life where I woke up really early and that was like the normal thing. And there's been other years where we used to wake up at like afternoon. I would stay up all evening, and it's kind of strange. I've never been consistent with my sleep schedule. It's always swung back and forth depending on what's happening in my life. Especially with the seasons here in Canada where I live. It's like summers are super hot, super hot, and sun comes up early, while in the winters it's super cold and the sun comes up late and doesn't stick around very long. So I think that might be part of the reason why my sleep schedule swings so much. But I need to get back to being a morning person. I prefer waking up early. Like it makes the day feel longer and I feel way more productive. And that's why I'm trying to move towards it. I've been struggling a bit because I have a tendency to get up when the alarm goes off and then just slip back into bed. Like the morning version of me is not very motivated most of the time. It's just wants to get a little bit more sleep, especially because I feel super sore in the morning. So yeah, that's definitely a struggle. But I think over the next couple of months, I'll be able to get back to a point where I wake up at 7 every day. I think that's a good time to wake up. And yeah, that's it for today. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. I will definitely finish this painting tomorrow, and it's my dad's birthday, but I'll still have enough time to finish this. I just need to get up and just do some of the highlights, do a little bit of background stuff, and I'll be almost done. So yeah, talk again tomorrow. Whoa, day 3. Oh, we finished the painting like I predicted. I was able to finish it today, which is good. Super happy about that. Even with celebrating my dad's birthday, was able to finish it. I only needed a couple of hours to put in some detailing stuff and got done. I'm super happy with the minimal background. So I was right, it did work out. What I did wrong with my initial trying of when I did the Spirit of Elegance, I tried a minimal background, but I had flowers in it, and that was the problem. That's why it didn't work out, because it was still too detailed. I still had too many elements that were distracting away from the character, and now I'm realizing the character is what matters. I can just keep the background as minimal as possible and just let the painting be carried by the concept of the character and the design of the character. It also makes it stand out a little bit more. Like the detailing in the character stands out because it's contrasted with the minimal background. I think that works really well, which makes me super happy, because that means I don't have to do as much work on each painting, which I know that sounds kind of bad, that maybe I don't enjoy working long periods of time on a painting, but that's just me being honest. I prefer working on a character, and working on the background just isn't as fun for me. That's just something that I have to accept, because that's just how I am naturally. I'm super happy with how the colors turned out. They turned out exactly how I imagined, which is so rare, and I'm super happy with the concept. Like this piece came together in so many ways, and it's by far my favorite painting in the series. I'm so happy. I'm starting to figure out things that, like, I'm getting a better sense of how I should be working, what works for me, what doesn't work for me, how to go about my creative process. I'm getting all these things, they're all coming together nicely, which is giving me so much hope. It's like making me so excited about where this can head in the next couple of months. And I think a big part of it is that I'm talking to you guys about this stuff. It makes it easier to be clear about what I need to do next, what I'm doing wrong and what I'm doing right. Being able to speak about this stuff helps so much, because it makes it so that I have to articulate exactly what I'm thinking. I can't be wishy-washy about my thinking and my path forward. I'd be very clear about, this is what went well with this painting, this is what went wrong. Doing this reflecting and talking about it through these videos makes it super awesome, and I'm super happy that people are listening and coming along on the journey with me. But just talking about it is so helpful. It's something I recommend you do, if you are an artist, if you're making art, to just to write it down in your sketchbook. Like after each piece you do, be like, okay, I like this, I don't like this. When I was doing this part of the painting, I didn't enjoy it, therefore maybe I should do less of that. I enjoyed this part of the painting, so do more of that. Like just going through the steps of asking yourself questions about each painting, and just being super clear and honest with yourself about what it is that you actually enjoy making. And I think it's hard to do, because I think you want to have this story in your head where you have an image of yourself where you want to go, right? And I think this is what's been a problem for me. And I think it's a common problem for most creatives, is that you have an image of yourself in your head that isn't realistic. It's your ideal self, but that ideal self might not be reflective of the things that you actually enjoy doing, so that you might be forcing yourself to do things that aren't within reach of your actual capabilities. You know, you want to actually lean into things that you're interested in, what you're actually able to do. So if your ideal self isn't that, then you might be stuck in this place where you're trying too hard to do things that are unnatural, that aren't reflective of who you are as a person. And I think that's something that I've struggled with. That's what I'm talking about this. Obviously, I'm not talking from a point of knowing these things intrinsically. These are things that I'm learning as I'm going. But this is something I realize now, that the more I lean into things that I enjoy, the easier this becomes, and the better the art becomes. That's the weird part of it. This piece was one of the easiest paintings out of all the paintings I've done. Super easy, felt super natural. And it's also because I'm getting more confident with painting. Like that's part of the process too, is this felt easier because I've gotten more experience under my belt. But at the same time, I'm leaning into the things that are natural for me, so I don't feel as insecure about each step of the process. It feels easier and easier because I'm really paying attention to what do I do naturally, where are my actual strengths instead of the strengths that I want. You know, what am I actually good at, and leaning into that has helped me a ton. And I really recommend it if you're working on making art and stuff, or any part of your life really. It's like, what are you good at? Lean into those things, because you'll probably enjoy it more. Obviously you have to work on weaknesses if they're hindering certain things, but overall I think if you're doing something that you do as a hobby or something creative, you really have to lean into who you truly are, because that's the only way to create honest work. And that's a huge part of this. So simplifying down the process for me has helped me a ton. I'm super happy with this painting. So here's the finished painting. Whoa, look at it. Whoa. I'm so happy. Like I feel so relieved. Like there's a lot of weight off my shoulders because I'm finally starting to get this stuff. I felt so worried in the beginning of this project because I didn't have any idea. Like if you go on my website and look at the first few paintings, you can tell that I'm struggling to figure out like, what do I actually want to do. It's very clear that I've been struggling with these paintings, but I'm finally starting to get it. And it's a pretty quick process. Like I haven't been doing a lot of these paintings. This is only the 11th one, so I'm making quick progress. So I'm happy about that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for checking this video out. If you're interested in staying in touch, make sure to join the mailing list over on the website. Link will be in the description. And if you want to be part of the project and support these paintings, I have a membership over on the website. It kind of works like a Patreon. There's a bunch of exclusive content for people that are members. That way you can be a deeper part of the adventure. If you're interested in that, go check that out. That's also linked in the description. I thank you guys so much for checking this out. I'm going to be doing more of these paintings, and I'm going to be doing spirits that have faces moving forwards. That's what the next chapter will be. So I'm going to do the next video that's coming out is going to be a sketchbook video where I practice drawing some faces, and then I'm going to start doing paintings that are a little bit more fashion illustration based. So hope you guys stick around to check that out, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm super excited to see you guys over there. Bye 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 bye.